And look who has joined me today.
Hello.
This is Jessica. She has an amazing channel, Jessica Out of the Closet, and you may have seen us filming together last year. Those videos are linked down below, so go and check those out after this video. But today, Jessica is with us because we wanted to film a video together all about working and employment when you have a disability, because I've had a lot of questions about this from you guys.
And we have stories.
We have many stories.
So many stories.
So Jessica has filmed part 1 over on her channel.
Sort of just talked about our experiences of working with disabilities and how great that was.
They denied me water.
Dun dun dun!
So yeah, if you want to know what that's all about.
That was that loud? That was quite loud.
That was quite loud. Go and check that out. That is linked in the description box, and I'll put a card there. But in this video, we're going to be talking about some tips. We're going to be giving you some advice about how to find a job, what to do when you've got an interview. So after watching the video, if you've got any questions or any stories that you want to share, then please drop them down below. As you know, I have a T10 incomplete spinal cord injury, so I have to use a wheelchair, so I'm physically disabled. Jessica, would you like to share with everybody what disabilities you have?
Yeah, sure. I have 2 genetic disabilities, one from each of my parents because I won the genetic lottery. Shout out me and goodness. So I have a disability that affects my nerves and one that affects my muscles, and the symptoms of these include things like chronic pain, chronic fatigue, and also deafness. That does make work quite hard sometimes. I'm also blind in one eye, but that makes no difference.
So these are the disabilities that we have. Obviously we're going to be talking about our experiences and the tips that we can give you with our physical disabilities. But if any of you out there have any sort of mental health problems or mental disabilities, then please feel free to drop your tips down below or share any advice.
Yes, we'd love some advice from you guys as well. This is just from our own experiences, but we'd love to know what you think too.
Yeah, so yeah, it'd be really, really handy for people reading through the comments to see that. Let's discuss the benefits of working.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think the #1 benefit of work is just that it makes you feel useful. It does. I always need to be doing something, and I think too often with disabled people, it's not even expected that we get a job. Just live off whatever paltry little benefits you've got. You don't need a life or anything. Excuse me. No, disabled people can be incredibly useful to the workforce.
If not more useful, because we see things a completely different way. Also really, really good for our mental health. I know that if I'm feeling a bit down and out, sometimes you've got to, if you've got a job and you've got a purpose, you've got to push yourself, and sometimes just coming back from being at work, you can actually have lifted your mood slightly.
Like, I make videos full time, and if I'm having a really bad day health-wise, I've just been super disgustingly nauseous all day, or I'm in terrible pain, when I get like a video completed or I get the plan or the script or something done, there's always just that rush of, yes, I achieved. Yeah, I did well today.
Yeah, I am totally with you. I can feel really rubbish and then I do one and yes.
Okay, the next one I think is money. Money is good. We like the money.
Money is good, yes. So yeah, we're able to go out and enjoy experiences with our families and friends.
You have a video on this channel all about how being disabled is actually hideously expensive.
Yes, it is. Also, by going out to work as well, you build up relationships with people that you wouldn't necessarily build relationships with. You can build up a support network, you can meet new people, and also gives you sort of an identity as well.
Yes.
And something to talk about with people as well.
I know.
So what do you do?
So the next sort of thing we're going to talk about is how to find a job. How do you start? It can be really overwhelming, especially when you hear things like there are no jobs and there is fierce competition.
And I think you always feel like you have to do twice as much to be half as good as anyone else.
Yes.
Because once you've had your interview, if they've interviewed 2 candidates, one of them is disabled and one isn't, you do kind of get the feeling that you have to be so much better as the disabled candidate to be considered level. with the able-bodied
Yeah,
one. It's
definitely.
that's just the way it feels.
Yeah. So where would you go start looking for a job?
I'm not the best person to ask. Where have I ever got... No, I've only got jobs because I got headhunted.
Ooh,
Or my mother found me a job.
nice. Yeah. You have to watch the video and you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
It wasn't a great job. It didn't end well.
You know,
but yeah, my mother got involved.
My mum got my first job for me.
Well, there we go. Your mum.
Yes,
There you go. It's the first tip.
First of all, go to your mum. Magazines. Also have a look in sort of disability magazines like the Disability Lifestyle magazines, local magazines. Then there's also the job websites as well. Also, be proactive. Think about what you can do, how that could be adapted into a job, and then contact people directly.
Yeah, that's true. Think about your skills first and then how that could create something.
Exactly.
And also think about what you actually enjoy.
Yes. So the other thing that you could also look into is if you did want to commit yourself to a contracted job, part-time or full-time because of your disability, you could also have a look at casual work and voluntary work as well. I did some voluntary work and that was really beneficial for me, sort of mental health wise. It really helped me, give me a sense of purpose and feel like I was doing something good and giving something back.
Oh, also, yeah, if you have the kind of disability that is very episodic, you can also think about crafty jobs and Etsy. I think that's a good one.
Yes.
So, if you're if you have days where you're unable to get out of bed, but mentally you're fine, maybe do a job that involves something like making cards, putting that together, selling them on Etsy.
Yes.
Or sewing, if you're good at sewing. Or, a friend of mine did this, because she got really ill but she was just physically unwell, so she didn't kind of have that going in and out of consciousness, being very tired. It was just that she couldn't move her body very much. So she became a copywriter. So she just got sent things from a publishing company and then she just read them.
Yeah.
Which she would have been reading stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But she got paid.
That's such a good idea. And also, keeping with that theme, there's actually a website called peopleperhour.com.
Oh.
And what it is people will put up little jobs that they need. So, Jessica, you may need someone to
work out my schedule. Untangle it.
Yes, proofread something for you, for example. Or I may need a video editing. So I can advertise that on People Per Hour. Someone comes along and says, yes, I can do this for you. This is the fee. And so you're not, working constantly. You can pick and choose what you want to do.
When you feel able.
Exactly, yeah. They've got authors on there who will help write books for people. There's photographers. Advertising, so you can advertise jobs or you can advertise yourself to do jobs as well. So it's definitely worth a look.
That is a good recommendation.
Yeah. You're thinking of using it now, aren't you?
I am.
So when you're filling out an application form, Jessica.
Yes. Yeah.
There's the little box that lots of people have been discussing when we've been discussing this on my community tab. Do you tick yes or no, or leave it blank that you have a disability?
I used to not disclose the full extent of my disability. So I've had 3 jobs. My current job, where I'm just self-employed and I work for myself, whatever. But the one before I was an employee, and I didn't from the start really explain to them what was wrong with me and how it affected different areas of my life. So I didn't fully explain I have an energy condition. I went in with deafness because you can't really hide that one. So I was like, yeah, I'm deaf, and I'll need a sign language interpreter, but that's fine because she comes from Access to Work. Anyway, we'll get more on that later. So you don't have to pay for that, it's all fine. And then I slowly, as I worked there and it became more obvious, had to be like, oh, also, I have terrible pain. Oh, also, sometimes bits of me stop working. Oh, also, I have an energy condition, so sometimes I just can't do stuff. Also, I get ill really easily because I have suppressed immune system, so I might just be off work for 3 weeks because I'm really ill. Great. That wasn't the best idea, I must say. Wasn't the best. Now, whenever I'm taking a job from a different brand or a company or whatever, we make sure we put on that email Jessica has disabilities, including an energy condition and chronic illness. And this means that she may have to be flexible about deadlines.
Very
And
sensible.
always now, just the full extent, this is what I've got, this is what I am, blah blah, take it or leave it. So that's, I guess, a bit different. But I do think it is just, you just gotta say, because you're only harming yourself.
Yeah, and also, if you don't declare it, if something was to happen further down the line, hopefully it won't.
You're legally responsible if you don't declare, so.
Exactly. Also, I always tick the box. I'm proud of who I am.
Yeah.
I don't mind that I have
that?
a disability, and I always play it to my strengths. You've got to work with what you've got. haven't
Indeed.
you? So I tick the box because even though I'm applying for a job that I know is going to be wheelchair accessible, they might decide to hold the interviews on the first floor where they don't have a lift, but you might never need to go up there ever again.
Yes, that's true.
And I think also it's down to us as well, not to just, I know we should expect things, but we can't just expect things. And I would hate to turn up to an interview and they'd be like really awkward about it and make them feel kind of bad as well.
Yeah, I do have a thing like you were saying about being proud of being disabled and proud of who you are. I think if we put ourselves into the position where it seems like we are ashamed of our disabilities or we are unwilling to talk about it because we think it's a bad thing, then it plays into other people believing that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to allow able-bodied people to continue to have that mindset.
Well said, Jessica.
Oh, thank
I
you.
really like that.
So when you found a job that you like the look of, you've applied, you've been accepted, oh, you've got an interview. Now you can worry because you've got an interview.
Yeah, what do you do?
Research the type of work that you'll be doing. Make sure that you know as much as you can about all the different areas of this job and what they will entail. And also make sure that you're actually capable of doing it.
Yes.
Because this is going to be a question that is really going to play on the minds of the people who are interviewing you. Just have an answer ready for everything. If they're like, will your disability affect this part of the job? And you're like, yes, my disability will only affect this one area, but it won't actually affect any of the work that I produce.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to make sure I have a more accessible desk. But otherwise, I'm good.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Make sure you've thought about the different areas of the job and how your disability will affect them.
And keeping it really positive.
Yes.
Really so don't say, oh, I've got a disability so that prevents me from doing the X, Y, Z. You've got to go in there and you've got to be really positive and show that you really want the job and that you are better than anybody else for the job.
Which you are.
You are. Exactly.
Phrase everything in a really positive way.
Yeah, really positive light. And you know, there may be some equipment that you're using because of your disability that makes you more accurate, more precise and faster than anybody else. So make sure that you play the disability to its strengths, not its weaknesses. Another thing that you guys had been asking me about, which I saw over on the community tab, is access to work, which is something that we have here in the UK. I don't know about the rest of the world, so if it sounds something similar that you have in your country, then make sure you drop it down below so that other people can read through it. But Jessica, you seem to know a little bit more about access to work than I do.
Yeah.
So would you like to...
I've used access to work ever since I got a proper job and left university. It's basically a government scheme that allows people with disabilities to get the help that they need at work to enable you to do the job to the standard that an able-bodied person would be able to do it. So they can't actually do your work for you, obviously, but they can send a helper who might, if you're deaf, they can send sign language interpreters. They can, if you have a learning disability that affects you in certain ways, so maybe you're great at writing, but you're not great at comprehending things, they can send someone who will help you go through the brief of whatever you need to do and break that down for you. Then they also help you with physical things, like they can put ramps into your workplace, handrails in the toilets, that sort of thing. It's basically making sure that no employer says, oh, no, I can't hire a disabled person, that's super expensive.
Yeah.
So it's basically just the government filling in the gaps there. They can also go 50-50 with your employer on some things. So again, like ramps, because it is obviously a legal necessity. So the government can go 50-50 with that employer and make sure that that happens. Access to Work can also provide help for interviews. Anything that requires that you need another person to be there with you.
I've personally used Access to Work for a few things within my workplace, and I found it to be very helpful. If you do want to find out more about it, it is on the gov.uk website, so if you just search Access to Work on there, and then you can find out how to apply and how it can help you. So I think that's it for this video.
Yeah.
I think we have added a lot of tips. Please be sure to add your tips down below, whether you've got a mental disability, mental health problem, or a physical disability. And also please make sure that you go over to Jessica's channel and subscribe there. And if you haven't subscribed here, we'd love to have you, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. I film 2 videos a week. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!